In a small coastal town in Maine, where the Atlantic whispered secrets to the cliffs, lived an old man named Elias. His weathered face bore the map of a life hard-lived, and his eyes, though dimmed by time, sparkled with a quiet fire. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elias climbed the winding path to the old lighthouse, a relic from a bygone era. The townsfolk called him the Lantern Keeper, though the lighthouse had been automated for decades. No one understood why he still tended to it, but Elias carried a secret, one that would soon change everything. Elias wasn't always alone. Years ago, he'd been a fisherman, married to a woman named Clara, whose laughter could calm even the fiercest storms. They dreamed of a simple life, raising a family in their seaside cottage. But one winter, a brutal nor'easter claimed Clara's life when their boat capsized. Elias survived, but the guilt of failing to save her anchored him to a life of solitude. The lighthouse became his refuge, its beam a silent promise to guide others home, even if he could never find his own way back. The town, though small, buzzed with life, families, tourists, and children who played on the rocky shores. Yet Elias kept to himself, his only companions the gulls and the flickering lantern he polished each night. The townsfolk whispered about him, some with pity, others with curiosity. "Why does he bother?" they'd say. "The lighthouse doesn't need him anymore." But Elias wasn't lighting the way for ships. He was lighting the way for something or someone else. One stormy autumn evening, a young girl named Maya appeared at the lighthouse door, soaked and shivering. She was no more than 10, with wide brown eyes and a backpack slung over her shoulder. "Mister, please," she stammered, "I need help." Elias, startled by the intrusion, hesitated. He wasn't used to visitors, let alone a child. But something in her voice, raw, desperate, stirred a memory of Clara's kindness. He ushered her inside, wrapping her in a wool blanket. Maya's story spilled out between sips of hot tea. She'd run away from a foster home 2 towns over, chasing a rumor about her mother, who'd vanished years ago. The trail led her to this coast, but the storm had stranded her, and she had nowhere to go. "I just want to find her," Maya whispered, tears brimming. "I want to know why she left me." Elias listened, his heart twisting. He saw himself in Maya's loneliness, her longing for answers. For a moment, he considered sending her back, calling the authorities, letting someone else handle it. But then he remembered Clara's words, "Kindness is the only light that never fades." Against his better judgment, he made a choice. "Stay here tonight," he said. "We'll figure it out tomorrow." The next morning, the storm had passed, but Maya's determination hadn't. Elias, though gruff, found himself drawn to her stubborn hope. He didn't know how to help, but he couldn't turn her away. So, he did something he hadn't done in years. He asked for help. He took Maya to the town's diner, where locals gathered over coffee and gossip. There, he shared her story, not just her search, but her courage, her heart. The townsfolk, who'd long seen Elias as a ghost of a man, were stunned by his presence, his voice. What happened next was nothing short of a miracle. The diner's owner, a woman named Ruth, recognized Maya's mother's name from a story she'd heard years ago, a woman who'd fallen ill and left her daughter to protect her. Ruth's cousin worked at a hospital nearby and offered to check old records. A fisherman volunteered to drive Maya to the next town, where a shelter might have more clues. Even the children, who'd once feared the strange old man at the lighthouse, rallied, drawing pictures for Maya to keep her spirits up. Elias watched, awestruck, as the town came alive, not just for Maya, but for him. For the first time in decades, he felt part of something bigger. But the true turning point came a week later when Ruth's cousin called with news. Maya's mother was alive, living in a small apartment in Portland, recovering from years of hardship. She'd never stopped searching for her daughter, but lacked the means to find her. The reunion was set for a crisp Sunday morning at the lighthouse, where Maya had first found refuge. Elias, who'd spent the week teaching Maya how to polish the lantern, stood by her side as a car pulled up. A woman stepped out, her face a mirror of Maya's older, worn, but alight with love. Maya ran to her, and their embrace seemed to stop time. Tears streamed down Elias's face as he watched, not from sorrow, but from a realization that hit him like a wave. He hadn't just helped Maya find her mother. He'd found his own way home. The townsfolk gathered that evening, not at the diner, but at the lighthouse. They brought food, blankets, and stories, turning the lonely cliff into a place of warmth. Maya's mother, now holding her daughter close, thanked Elias with words that echoed Clara's, "You gave us light when we were lost." Elias, his voice steady for the first time in years, replied, "No. You all did that for me." As the lantern's beams swept across the sea, Elias looked out at the faces around him, strangers turned family. He'd spent decades believing his purpose died with Clara, but now he saw the truth. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, was a light that could guide someone home. The lighthouse didn't need him, but the world did, and so, the lantern keeper kept tending his light, not for ships, but for souls. The town never forgot that autumn, when a lonely man and a lost girl reminded them of the power of humanity, the power to heal, to connect, to transform. And somewhere, in the whispers of the Atlantic, Clara's laughter rang out, brighter than ever.